I hit black ice on the motorway. So I hit black ice, went into the central reservation, and then my vehicle rolled.
And do you remember much of it at all, or?
Bits of it. I've got flashes of the actual accident, and then I can remember everything from when I woke up in my car until I got to the hospital. So I was chatting the ear off the firefighters while they were getting me out. But basically, I ended up with a compound fracture dislocation of my right arm, which damaged the brachial artery. A compound fracture dislocation of my right ankle, and I broke my back.
Was it there was some nurses on the and then there was
Yes.
some off-duty firefighters as well, sort of literally next to you as it
Yeah.
happened?
Yeah, so literally the luckiest unlucky person
Yeah.
you'll ever meet. So the car behind me was an off-duty nurse, and then behind her were two off-duty firefighters. So they sort of, the lads I've actually met since, they basically secured the scene, sort of assessed me, directed traffic. So one of them was out in a little high-vis vest directing traffic around my car. And then the nurse was on the phone to the ambulance getting them to come.
How have those other injuries been then, since then?
My ankle's been the issue.
Okay.
So I've had, I think we're on about 15 procedures now
15?
in 5 years. To various things from sort of the recent ones are steroid injections because I've got severe osteoarthritis in it. So when my symptoms flare up, so it's basically every 3 months I get really bad. I can't walk. Like I can't weight bear through my right leg at all. But the others have sort of been fine. It's really weird that like the major ones have settled pretty nicely. But yeah.
In regards to when there's periods where you can't walk, etc., are you still able to do you pause training completely, or do you adapt to that and change your training where it becomes like upper body movements, etc.? Or
Yeah, so we adapt my training so it ends up a lot of it is seated.
Yeah.
Or we do a lot of, rather than free weights where I have to stand or balance, we do a lot of machine work so I can position like the pads on, say it's like a leg day or whatever. You can position the pad so it's away from my ankle.
Yeah.
So you're still mimicking like the movements that you need and building the strength without putting the pressure through it.
Would you say you had a lot of support as well? So when you were in hospital, I mean, how long were you in hospital for?
I think it was about 6 weeks initially.
So at what point did you kind of like decide yourself, you think this is not going to stop me? I've been through obviously hell. When did you think? I mean, was there people there maybe around you egging you on to do more, or did you just have a moment in yourself? You thought, you know what, I can't do some things perhaps I wanted to do, but I'm going to do something else now, and I'm going to use that dedication I showed earlier, trying to get into the army. I'm going to do it on something else. And obviously, as we alluded to at the start, 3 world records, so no biggie.
That wasn't until about the November of 2017. So I'd sort of made the decision in hospital that I had to live my life however that was going to be. So they say when you go through a trauma, you have 2 options. You either embrace it and live your life, or you don't. You sort of reclude from life. And I only ever had like the one option in my head was I had to live it however that was going to be. But I did feel like I lost all my purpose and my identity, what I wanted to do. But through my prosthetic centre, I actually got put in contact with a guy called Jacko, who is a former para, who was going to the Invictus Games. And so I ended up going to the Invictus Games in Canada in 2017 for a bit of a kick up the arse.
Yeah, sure.
What can I do? Because I thought like I couldn't row because my leg was still healing, and then I was like, what can I do? So we went out, and like I ended up meeting loads of people that are now really good friends. Like 5 years later, we're really good friends. And they sort of introduced me to different people and were like, just keep trying a sport until you find what fits for you. You will find something that you're like, this is what I am meant to do now.
You've done quite a few though. I mean, have you found your sport yet? Because you've got about 4 or 5 down on the list here of different sports. I feel like you're quite versatile.
Yeah.
What would you say is your favourite though, out of all of the stuff you've been doing? What do you enjoy the most?
Strongman.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'd guess that. Bearing in mind
What's
you're the world's strongest. I mean that.
what's your what's your strongest? I mean that. What's your favourite event
Oh yeah.
for Strom?
It's either stones or a truck pull.
Yeah. And
But
what's your worst? Oh God, no.
overhead pressing.
Okay.
Overhead pressing.
When everyone else does log, we usually do a barbell.
Yeah.
But I have a massive mental block. I'll pressing over a certain weight so I can clean. Like, I think, like, my clean is up to 60 kilos now with one arm, but I can't press over 37.5.
Oh.
I'm just stuck. I can't.
Do you feel this is something you would have ever have discovered or got into if you had not had the accident? Or do you think in a weird way the accident is actually what has kind of led to this fate, or where you have become like strong women, etc.?
I wouldn't have found it.
Yeah.
I can guarantee that I wouldn't have done half of the things that I've done without my accident.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that you're sort of grateful for it in a way, because it has opened these opportunities up that never would have happened otherwise.
It's a weird one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like I say this quite a lot. I'm fully aware of it. Like everything happens for a reason. I know it's like not a nice thing to have happened. It's not. You'd never wish this to happen on anybody. But when you said you sit back and look at the things you've achieved because of it, it's almost like this was part of the plan. Yeah, it's not. It wasn't nice at the time. But now, when you look at it, when you grow old, you're gonna look back and be like, wow, look at the stuff I accomplished.
Yeah.
And it all happened at that one moment. All those years ago.
It's like life finds a way, as they quote in Jurassic Park. Yeah.
Way to bring that reference.
Yeah. Bill's very spiritual, and I come up with a quote from Jurassic Park. Yeah. Life finds a way.
Life finds a way.
It's true. Life does find a way, and the thing is, one particular reason why I kind of like stories like this is that it does show human resiliency and our ability to adapt.
Yeah, but it requires a choice, doesn't it? We'll come on to more of the mental resiliency stuff later in the episode, but I think, as we alluded to at the start, you said, didn't you, there's two choices, and it does come down to a choice, isn't it? When these things happen, you make that choice, and if you are dedicated to it, then you can do what you've done, Becca, and have all these titles, which I'm not going to read off again because the episode will be here all night otherwise if we keep reading these titles off. What I do want to talk about, Becca, I want to talk about your training. So you've obviously got to train hard to get to the level of being the world's strongest disabled woman. So what does a typical training day and week look like? Is it talk through
it? Off season is 6 days a week.
Oh my god, off season.
Yeah.
6. Oh god, right.
So it doesn't really stop. So usually it's like a body, like body part split. Like your normal splits for 6 days a week. And then I usually throw in my own little fun sessions where I'll go in. That's just normal S&C, and then I'll go to the strongman gym and do whatever I feel like on the day. So that's usually about 3 times a week. And then when it comes to comp season, so like next week my comp prep starts, it's basically ends up 2 sessions a day, 6 days a week.
You must be eating an enormous amount of food, Becca, to fuel all this.
We're trying to increase it.
Yeah, good. Wow, God.
Yeah.
This is the great thing, is I always say to people, like, if you train loads, the benefits are you can just eat whatever you want. You can literally smash. You want Domino's, you can have Domino's. If you want to have fries, you can have whatever you want basically, and you'll be alright. What's Tom?
3,000 calories of potpourri.
What? Why have you brought out potpourri? You just wanted to shove your potpourri, didn't you?
I did. I'm shut off the things in my new office, and the thing is, that's actually the previous tenants. So yeah.
If you're unaware, Becca, Tom is very excited about his new office. He's been all over Instagram. He's got a new little location. He was recording his kitchen up until now, and now here we are.
Yeah, exactly.
He's
I don't know if you can see the background, but I've got flashing lights as well.
Oh my god!
How do I turn these off? Oh, thank God for that. I thought I got it stuck then. Have it stuck on a strobe all night.
Oh god! Back to the conversation. This is typical Tom, by the way, Becca. Derail. We could have the Queen of England on, and he'd still derail the podcast to levels of chaos.